Hi everyone, my name is Efia. For those of you who might be new to the channel, welcome to the afuabayayi YouTube channel, and today I have joined with me Mr. Richard Weeks. I'm pronounced that right?
That's correct.
Yes, okay. And Richard is actually my eldest son's chess club teacher, and after some of our sessions we've had some really fantastic conversations, and every time he says something to me, it always makes me think, and it's always something that I've held on to, and I've implemented it in my parenting. And so I thought I'd really wanted to bring him on to share some of that knowledge with you guys. So thank you for coming.
Good afternoon, thank you.
And thank you for honouring the invitation.
Okay.
As some of you may know, our children are homeschooled.
Yes.
So our group is a homeschooled club.
Yeah.
So you've got many different clubs.
I have.
As well as teaching in schools.
I do. And I realised that I used to run the homeschool club in Downham.
Yeah.
When a young lady introduced me to the homeschooling group of parents who wanted to teach their children chess. And I've been teaching homeschool children now, I think, coming up to 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm now in Lewisham, and on Monday morning from 10:30 to 11:30. And I think that's an area that I've been developing for a little while.
We talked about in the schools, the year groups that you teach.
Yeah.
So whether or not a child is homeschooled or a child is in school,
Yes.
what age do you, because I remember I came to you when he was 5 and you said, no, that's too early, you have to come back.
Yes.
So you said ideally 6,
Yes.
but you would do as you would go as early as 5.5.
Yes.
So bang on 5.5, I came to you.
Yes.
So what age would you say, and why?
Now, I'm glad you said that. It does depend on the child.
Okay.
And there are exceptions to every rule, as you know. And I always ask questions prior to accepting the child into a class, because I have to think of the child first and foremost in terms of their ability to understand the instructions, to understand how they have to learn, because every child learns in a different way, and the mindset of the child as well. Chess is not a difficult game to play, depending on the teacher, of course. And I tend to be very good at what I do.
Yeah.
And in some circles, I am. I mean, I am looked upon as the expert in what I do.
Yeah.
And I love what I do.
Yeah.
I passionately believe that
Absolutely.
all children should have an opportunity to play chess at least once a week for at least an hour minimum.
Okay.
And I will always say that to anybody I speak to.
Okay.
If children can play more chess over a longer period, even better. And a lot depends on the character of the child and their desire to want to learn. And most children do want to learn how to try something new and different that they've never tried before. So confidence is important as well. But it depends on the child. It depends on the country you live in, for example. Now, I know for a fact, in terms of child development, that 7 years old is the first puberty stage that children go through, when their brain develops in a certain way, where the boys get a big dollop of testosterone and the girls get a big dollop of estrogen, which changes them from the little darlings that you know them up until 7. And that's the first sign of puberty, so they change.
That's so interesting. That really helps parents.
Yes.
Because I know that with our eldest, when he reached 7, there was a change.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I decided years ago, when I was doing the research before I started the chess clubs and teaching in schools, that I had to pick an age when I felt that I had to get in to their thinking before that first developmental stage of 7. So I decided to teach them at 6. If there are exceptions to the rule, and there sometimes are, 5.5 is sometimes 5, depending on if the child that's coming to me has a sibling or a brother or sister already in the class.
Right.
Then I know that young child, the 5.5 or 6-year-old, will get support from the older child.
And can I just interject there?
Yes.
So Richard is a very good teacher. So when our eldest went into the class, he did not know how to play chess at all. His dad knows how to play chess, but had no patience with teaching him. So I said, leave it, I'll put him into a chess club. So he went in with absolutely no knowledge of how to play. Yes. And then he has become very good at it. And not only that, but he has been able to teach his brother how to play. And he did that so that he could have someone to play with at
Absolutely.
home. And so, yeah, what you're saying is so true.
It's true, and what I find is that depending on how you teach children and how you expose them to the information, because every child learns in a different way,
Yeah.
and it's not one cap fits all. You have to teach children in a way that they understand. And what I've learned in the years that I've taught children is that you've got to teach the child to suit that particular individual. So, for example, the dynamic of my class, I might have, for example, a 5-year-old, if they're exceptional. I might have 2 6-year-olds, I might have 3 7-year-olds, I might have 2 8-year-olds, a 9-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 12-year-old or 13-year-old. Now, as the chess teacher, I have to know who I've got in my class, and I have to cater and direct the lesson in such a way that every child learns something from that session.
Yeah.
But most of my chess clubs in the evening from 5:30 are for 2 hours. So I have to make sure that the 6-year-old gets it and the 12-year-old gets it as well. So not only do I ask them random questions, I play them. Sometimes I play all of them.
Yeah, you do.
All at once.
Yeah.
And I set up the room with the tables in a circle or semicircle, and I go around the board and I play each child if there's time. They love that because they're actually playing me. And I've got this skill, I'm not sure what you might call it, but I tend to play in a way that I make mistakes deliberately to see if the child will spot it.
We'll spot the mistakes.
And if I know that they've spotted it, then I know they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
For example, I might play a particular child very hard and don't make any mistakes at all, because I want to see how determined that child is to compete with me and beat me at my own game.
Right.
Which is fascinating for me. And when I see that they do, I might make a move that deliberately, for example, lets them win a game. Because I want to see how they respond to that. I want to see how they respond to the win, and I want to see how children respond to a loss, because that develops character in children.
And that's what I really like about the class is that I find that you will address them about the way they speak, about the way that they are dressed, about all of these things, and
the way that they interact with the other children.
and so there's a lot of character development happening, and I think it's really nice that, especially in his class, the ages are mixed. He's playing children that are older, that are younger. I think all of that really...
It needs to be stressed, and children that are young needs to be stretched, and it builds that confidence in them that they can do it.
Yeah.
And I think 2 things are key for me in assessing a child's ability. Their confidence, if they will want to have a go, even though they haven't got it quite right, and their attitude. Those 2 things are key to me in terms of assessing the character of that child. One important thing that I always say to all the children in the classroom is that chess helps you to decide on the best move, the next best move. And you can only do that if you stop and think about what just happened, assess the situation, and work out what your next move is going to be. Now, as the child gets older, I explain to them that no matter how many options you have, and this might be useful for parents as well, there's always one option that's always there that can be chosen in all the options that you have. And the option is, you can do nothing. You don't have to do something about everything that you hear or you see. You can do nothing. Although you can't do nothing in a game of chess, because at some point you have to make a move.
You have to make a move, yeah.
But I think I say that in the context of, just because something happened, you don't have to react straight away.
Absolutely.
You can give yourself a few moments to look at it, consider it, and consider your options and think, if I do that, they might do this. And when that happens, they might do that. And I'm hoping that they do. So you try that. And if that doesn't work, you don't get angry or think that it's not going to work another time. It just didn't work for that moment. It's just a temporary situation. So you have to have not only your first plan, but you have to have another plan. And this is what chess helps you to do. It makes you think about trying again. Because that, what you thought could work, didn't work. So thinking again, and thinking again, and thinking again, gives you that determination to keep going and don't give up.
Yeah.
The game's not over until it's over.
Absolutely. We have, I have a cousin who's married to a Polish woman, and we visited their home. She said, "Oh, do you know how to play chess?" And then my eldest said no, and then she said, "I'm going to teach you the basic moves through a game called Sheeps and Wolves."
Yes.
And he just got it by the end of the visit. And she was saying that in their culture,
Yes.
playing board games is a big deal.
Absolutely.
There are certain ethics and character traits that I thought, I wonder if there's a relationship here. And I kind of looked into it a bit more, and,
Yes.
I realised that actually, like, chess is a really big deal.
Mm.
You've in the past mentioned how chess is like one of the 3 prodigies.
Yes.
So give us a bit more about, like, why would you say parents should encourage their children learning chess?
Chess is one of those games that actually makes you stop and think and contemplate and consider options. It makes you analyse a situation. Now, when you're learning the game of chess, there are lots of benefits that children learn. I mentioned before problem solving and decision making and planning skills. But socially, as a game, it has the benefit of helping you to wait your turn. You do have to wait your turn. You can't rush your opponent. The opponent needs time to think and plan and strategize, just like you're doing. And while you're waiting for your opponent to have their turn, you should be always as well analysing the game to think about, if they do this, I could do this.
Right.
And for example, bullying, being bullied. How do you react to that? Every child has faced a bullying situation and doesn't know how to deal with it. Now, if you might be a chess player and you are in a bullying situation, you have to think about, well, what do I do next? What would be the best thing? So you look at your options. That's just one example.
The perception of a lot of movies, chess is always affiliated with, like, the super brainy bunch. It almost seems inaccessible for, like, you know, your average child, and it's not necessarily the game that's brought out oftentimes in many homes. And so I'm really hoping that that changes, because it is accessible for, you know, just any child to.
You know, Queen of Catway.
Yes.
I was going to mention that after.
Yes.
Queen of Catway.
Yeah.
It was out about three
Yeah, I have
4
actually
years
watched
ago.
that one.
And I actually recommended that film to another young lady a couple of weeks ago. She said she watched it. And Fiona was a girl who lived in Uganda in a slum area.
Yeah.
And she was interested in chess because there was a chess club or chess class in her town or her village when she went to town.
Yeah.
And she used to pass it and just look in, and she was invited to come in. She was a bit apprehensive about going in because she was a girl. There were other girls in there who could play, but she lacked confidence. And she was invited in to play. And it turned out that she was a very good player, and she surpassed all expectations and became good, and now is a very good chess player. She's about 18 now.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So there is no link, I don't think. I think a lot has to do with, back to what I said about the way that you teach a child, the way that they're nurtured. And whenever, for example, when a new child comes to my class, whether it be boy or girl, I always ask the question, why are you here? And they look at me perturbed, like, I'm here to play chess. But I said, no, why did you come? What's the reason for you coming to learn to play chess? And I'm looking for 2 answers. I'm looking for, because I love it, and I like it, and I want to play better. And the next reason is, I want to beat my dad.
Right.
When I hear those 2 reasons,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter whether one comes and the other one doesn't come. But most of the time, they come together, especially from the boys. I really like it, I want to play better, I want to beat my dad.
Yeah.
And that is important to me.
Yeah.
Because not only does that denote the competitiveness, but it's that desire, that wanting to do more, to learn more, to get better. And that's growth thinking for me. Absolutely growth thinking. Which brings nicely into the way that the mind works, back to the brain again. It's all about the brain. Because everything that you do happens in here first.
Yeah.
And I tell them that. They think playing the game and moving the chessmen around on the board, that's where the game happens. But I say to them, where do your moves come from? So get them to think about that. Back to thinking about thinking.
Yeah.
I said to them, some of them get it. Some of them look at me like, what are you talking about? You might lose a game, but while you're losing, you're learning what happened.
100%.
And you should try and utilize why you lost, and even ask your opponent, how did you beat me? I like that move you made, can you show it to me? And you learn from that, and you note it, and you bank it.
It's like, as they say, oftentimes we learn more from our losses
That's right.
or from failures.
That's how we learn.
Yeah, a parent is listening to this and
Yeah.
thinks, okay, I want to get my child involved in chess now.
Hope you're listening, parents.
Yes. You recommended this book.
I did. It's very self-explanatory, and children say to me, but I haven't got anybody else to play with. But I said, well, that's not really true. You have got somebody to play with. They're with you all the time. And they say, what's that? I says, you can play with yourself.
Can you?
Yeah, I'll show you.
Oh.
You get a chess set,
Right.
you set it up.
Okay.
If you know how to set it up, you look in the book first and you set it up. And then what you do, you have your chess set up, and you follow the instructions in the book. And as the book directs you, you make the moves on the chess board.
Oh, okay.
And chess books, especially this one, it's been made in such a way that it guides the player from the very beginning,
Right.
step by step by step. So you can't go wrong, because this is a book on how to play chess, yes, but the book is designed so it starts off really easy in the beginning, and it gets harder and harder to the very end,
Right.
of course,
Yeah.
because it's like a stage, like a teaching book.
Yeah.
But one thing I really like about this book is it's got certain chapters, and after 3 or 4 pages about a particular concept of the game, it stops and gives you a quiz on one page about what the child has just read. So it gives you a chance to do what I do in my class. I teach you something, and then I ask you what I just taught you.
So it's like the comprehension of it,
To
right?
see if you actually got it.
Yeah.
And then once you've got it, you can prove to yourself you've got it, you go on to another stage of the
Right.
game. And the book is designed in that way. I really recommend it.
Yeah.
It's really good.
And what else you would recommend? Like, I mean, I'm assuming get them into a club, right?
Yes, get them into a club, but also you've got to get a nice sized chess set. Not a pound, not one from the pound shop, that's
Okay.
plastic one. The chess set should be bought first. You physically have a chess set, and if you've got no one to play with, so you think, you can play against yourself. You can teach yourself. And most grandmasters, when they were first starting out in their career, they taught themselves. By the time they were 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, they were
just
already
brilliant.
good.
Yeah.
Over here we teach it a different way, but that's changing because we now know how they taught them over there. But in terms of teaching, so you get the book, you have the chess set, and you can actually play against yourself and just learn in a different way. But you've got to just take it slowly, because it's not something that you can rush. It takes a lifetime to play chess really well, and I'm still learning. I play chess every day. I read every day, and I even now I read something. I think I didn't know that. There's 3 different ways we learn: visually, audibly,
And
and kinesthetically.
Yeah.
And all children have the ability to learn, but you've got to find out which is the stronger
Yeah.
way that they learn. So chess gives you all of that. Chess gives you the visual, because I've got the hang-up chessboard on the wall. Then I bring out the books, or I give them a puzzle or a quiz, and then we actually play the game. So we get a mixture of the 3 types of teaching in the session.
Appeal
all
to
the
the
time.
different learning types.
There's 2 types of mindset. You have the fixed mindset children, and you have the growth mindset children. And likewise, guess what? Fixed mindset, and growth mindset. I was just going to say, a fixed mindset child, person, they believe that they are so smart and so clever that they know everything, and they can do most things because they just can. When they happen along a situation that's a bit problematic and brand new and they can't do it, they won't have a go, because that will then show up their either inability or their inadequacies about achieving that particular task. A growth mindset child doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them. They don't care. They'll just have a go and have another go and have another go.
Right.
They'll be persistent and they'll have fun doing it, because to them they know they're learning, and they're the confident ones. They're more confident than the fixed
We
mindset
really need
children.
to try and nurture that with our children, a growth mindset.
You can change them around. Fixed mindset children have that innately in them, but you can turn them around depending on the environment, depending on the style of teacher. Hence the reason why I do the crazy and get in their head.
Yeah.
You have to be.
Because he literally like runs into his chess class. Like, I think there was one time he had he literally, he was sick that morning, and he had vomited. And I was like, should we stay home? And I was like, no, I'm going to chess. So I don't think we've ever really missed a session besides when we've travelled.
Yeah.
Because it's not really an option for him, you know. So it really does work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does work.
I'm pleased to hear that.
No, yeah.
Because in class, he's, I've seen his growth. I've seen his development. I've seen his change in his knowledge.
So guys, I'm going to provide Richard's details in the description box because you have many different clubs and sessions across South East London. Thank you so much. It's been so good. So I really hope that many of you take on board so many of these tips, ideas and knowledge. It's been fantastic. Thank you. You know.